Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So
So we
this,
haven't talked. Go
I
ahead.
know we haven't talked in a while.
Yeah, we haven't talked for 2 weeks. So quick update where you are and where you're heading, maybe through the holiday break. And then, is there any targeted things you want us to talk about?
All right. Well, we finished bleachers on that. I thought it was
That
successful.
went real well.
Yeah,
Yep.
that went well, and the brown bag went real well. The kids, I
Oh,
thought,
good, good.
Well,
so
I thought
they
everybody did
did a
pretty
really
well.
good job. And then we're working on some short stories, and so far
So far, so good.
so far so good. So we read Harrison Bergeron, and they enjoyed that. And I showed them a clip of it, so they liked
Oh,
that.
good.
And we just read The Possibilities of Evil, and so this is kind of interesting. We set the students up, and I told TJ to come in late, and I warned him what I was going to do, and so I basically berated him in front of the class, and I told him that, why are you never on time? Who hired you? You're
Oh,
not
funny.
servicing the children, and they're just because we talked about is it my job to judge him? We were talking about judgment calls versus judging people before we read the story. But what was
Yeah, and you being mean, Lisa, is just funny because I know you too well. You're like sugar with sugar on top of sugar, so that's even funnier.
at me, wasn't I?
It
Maybe.
was all right. It was good.
Not in your unit.
Well, what's interesting in the whole discussion is some of the kids thought that he worked for me. And I said, no, we're co-teachers. We're equal. So that I thought was very
Yeah, that was pretty
interesting.
interesting.
So that tells us that we need to make sure that we're clear with our roles, that we're both equals.
Yeah,
So
that's good. Well, that was a great way to clarify it. I will be borrowing that one in
Yeah,
the future.
absolutely.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. And so, CJ or TJ, how did you respond to that?
Oh, I kind of acted just kind of humble about it. Just kind of put my head down, and just try to act like I was a little humiliated. But like I said, I think we had more. A lot of them didn't want to say that they were fooled. But I think we had quite a few of them actually.
Yeah, I'm sure
Great.
they're like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, and they love anytime they think teachers are in it, they want to get right in the middle of it. So, did anybody come to your defense?
No.
No.
Really?
No.
Sorry.
I was what 5, 7 minutes late after the bell, and like they already got started and everything. So they're
Right.
just like, why isn't he here?
Why? Well, and I kind of set him up about 3 minutes in. I said, boy, I wish Mr. Taylor sure would get here so we can get started.
That's funny.
So,
That's great. That's great. And so you're heading with a short. So one other quick question on the brown bag. Anybody surprise you?
yes, I thought we
I
had
think for
some.
good and bad. I
Mhm.
think there was one group that just wasn't into it, just couldn't focus. I don't know if it was the group of kids or if it was just
Mhm.
the day, or because I mean we had high and low in that group,
Right,
and just
right.
no one wanted to work in that group. And then there's other groups who really surprised me with what they actually pulled out of
Mhm.
their item. So I thought it was good and bad.
Mhm.
There's only one group that had the bad, and it wasn't really that awful. It
And
was just
some just didn't follow directions. So
yeah.
the last box, I told them you have to fill in the last box, and they didn't. So you lose a few points.
Yeah.
So.
Stinks to be not following directions.
There you go.
One quick question about the group that didn't do very well. Do they normally though do fairly well on multiple choice tests or short answer?
They usually the girl like the leader of that group usually does well on everything,
Mhm.
That's her problem.
but very distracted. She was very distracted, and everyone just kind of just. I mean, unless you were on top of them and not helping another group, they kind of went off on their own subject every time. So
Did we have that day or not? I don't know if we got it.
I can't remember if we took the device that day or not.
She has device issues, so we've been trying to put them in a box or have the students put them in a box because they just can't control themselves.
That's funny. Well, and if she was the leader and she's really really bright, that usually is the student who does the worst on broad bag.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Fascinating. So it may actually validate what happened because the brown bag asks you to do something she never does, which is think outside the box. So
Mhm.
she's really not as bright as you think she is. She's just a good rote memory. She's got a good short and long term memory. So I would continue to ask her really hard questions outside the box. Like I would constantly ask her open plus questions, which are where you take one student's question who said, what's the use of technology, and maybe TJ says, well, I use it at home to cook and with a mixer, and Lisa says, well, I use it at home to vacuum. And then I look at that student, I say, well, how would you put a vacuum and a mixer together to create something new? And she's going to look at you like this, because the Common Core is going to ask her to do that, and she's probably not capable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the beauty of the brown bag, is you're going to find those kids that are going to crash on the Common Core, and they're going to blame you for not teaching them when really they aren't as smart as they think they are.
Right.
So interesting. All right. And where are you going between now and the holiday breaks, besides having some fun, hopefully? And what's your roles and your plans for each other in the last few minutes you have?
Well, we're moving on to Much Ado About Nothing, and I don't know if you had a chance to look at the rap, but we'll start off with the rap. It was Flowcabulary. It was a really neat site because they put everything to music. It was really, you can do a 30-day free trial, or pay for your school. So that, anyway, I thought we'd do that. I'd like for them to read a little bit of it as well, but I think we'll do it after we watch the whole movie. Well, usually for classes we'll read first and then watch the movie, but I think we'll watch the movie and then read a little bit. Don't you think? I think.
Especially with being a short week
Uh-huh.
and everything. And I just know a lot of my kids that I work with specifically are this off schedule because of the short week.
Right,
It throws them
right.
off a little bit.
Yeah.
Holidays are not good for kids with disabilities at all. So, well,
We got a
here's
couple short stories this week, and then we'll go into the
Yeah.
Much Ado. And I thought, for both of us, for our roles, when we do read, we'll take the largest parts and then just give them small to keep it going. And we'll just read a little bit, maybe one act. So.
what about watching the first act of the movie and then reading?
Oh, we could do that. Yeah, that might work.
Yeah, that might work.
I'm just thinking chunking it a little bit. So, and then, or maybe watch the whole movie and then watch the first act and then read, or read the first act and then watch. I might try it both ways and see which way, so watch the whole movie, but then repeat watching the acts as you read the chapters.
Okay.
If that doesn't take up too much time.
Yeah. And I don't know that I don't want to read the whole thing with them because it'll just.
Eventually they'll just
But we'll read at least one act, maybe two, that are.
Well, and
that are
have you
good.
thought about trying a flipped classroom with reading? You guys are in a great place to do that, where you tell them to come home and read, that they have to read it when they walk in the door. They have to give you 3 things about that chapter, and if they've read it, they get to be involved in a reenactment. If they haven't read it, they have to go to what we call Boring Island and read the chapter.
That sounds interesting.
That's interesting. And it's kind of I don't want to make it sound like an excuse, but I know with a lot of the disability kids, just anything that goes home doesn't get done.
They don't do it.
I mean, again, we sit on that boring island, but then are we punishing them and not letting them join the group because they can't read at home because it's loud and noisy and a circus at home?
Could they do an audio at home, maybe, even on the bus ride, if you gave them the book on tape, just a chapter? I'd be curious to see, because what they're finding with the flipped classroom, and I agree with you 100%, TJ, is that kids who normally wouldn't do homework will, because they want to be engaged. But what you're saying is, I'm not giving you the opportunity. You have to choose that as an opportunity you want to take. So it's only Boring Island that you still have to get the content, but as soon as you know it, you get to join the group. So it also says that while you're at Boring Island, you better get engaged, listen, and read quick, because as soon as you can tell me those 3 things, you get to go over and join the activity.
Okay. It wouldn't be bad to try.
Yeah, we can try it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you. But it's funny, I watched a teacher do it with the French Revolution, and every kid read that chapter because they just needed to know the conflict. And so she made it that they could read it, they could call a neighbor, they could even stay after school and talk to you about it, TJ, and say, tell me the 3 things, so that when they walk in the door, if they can't tell you those 3 things in that chapter, they don't get to participate. So it becomes their problem to figure it out instead of you guys telling them how to find those 3 things.
Okay.
I'd like to be something where we kind of give them a question they have to answer before they come in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they know what to read for rather than just I have to read the sentence.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Food for thought. I'm just trying to think of things to challenge you. Anything you're worried about, or anything you want to add, Jen?
I was actually going to suggest listening to the book on tape. They also, I mean, if you you could scaffold it that your students with disabilities actually have the question that they have to come back and answer, while some students in the classroom you're looking to come in with the 3 things. So that way you are getting what you want out of the students with disabilities, and they can also attack it any way they want. So if they want to listen to it, they can listen to it. If they want to find a clip on YouTube, they can find a clip on YouTube and listen to it that way. You know, whatever works best for them.
Yeah, that works.
That sounds good. Well, we'll have to start thinking about the semester exam and not making it too long, and what we want to do with that. So that's something, especially for next time, we want to talk about.
Okay, we'll think about that one. I think part of your semester exam should be performance, so I'm going to challenge you guys both to think about that until we get back together.
Okay.
Some kind of demonstration instead of just paper pencil. It could be a comic, a theatrical, something. So let's think about that and what that might look like. Would you like to meet next Monday, or would you like to wait till the Monday after? It's completely your call.
What do you think?
We're getting 2 days today.
Yeah, we only have 2 days, so maybe the Monday after, I think would be better.
After that, we'll re-engage with you again, and that'll give you some time. So our next goal would be the semester exam, and we'll think about some alternative ways for that. And then anything that you're worried about, any specific student, if you want to bring data or work samples even, feel free, and we can actually see those on the camera and give you some feedback on a student who's doing, if you've got a student who's still struggling.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
We're very thankful that you're willing to do this project with us. It's been a lot of fun for us. Hopefully you've learned a few things too.
Okay.
Absolutely.